Hey guys, let's talk about tonight's episode of The Flash. And wow, you see, guys, this is what you do when you have characters be honest with each other. They find out the truth, and you have a really good episode. We have waited so long for Iris to find out the truth about her best friend Barry and that he is the Flash. And she figures it out in last week's episode. And so, right away, like 5 minutes into the episode, she reveals to Barry and the rest of the team that she knows what's going on. And obviously, she's not happy, but she just wants answers. And I like that they had her say she's not angry, she's disappointed. And that is basically the bottom line. Barry is her best friend, and he has not revealed this huge secret that he has, and it has lingered and made not only their relationship not what it should be, but it is also ultimately allowed Iris's character to suffer through the first entire 20 episodes of this season. And when she finally found out the truth, what happened? She became part of the team, and she became a far more interesting character, at least for me. I mean, one, she was in the episode way more than she's ever been before. She was able to confront Barry. She was able to confront her father. She even confronted Caitlin. Like she had the right to be angry, but she didn't let that take over her doing the right thing, which was working with them, trying to help them find Eddie, trying to help them find her dad after Gorilla Grodd took him. And it just made her not focus on, the fact that she's been lied to this whole time, but the fact that she needed to work with them to help get them out of this situation that they got themselves into. And like she said, you could have told me what was going on, and I could have gotten myself, not put myself in danger and been aware of what danger was coming at me, which is what I've been saying for so long. So I'm glad that the writers decided to write her that way and not just have her be angry and stomping all over the place. Yes, she was disappointed in Barry. She took out her frustration. She was upset with her father, and the fact that Eddie's missing now, she blames a bit on her father. But ultimately, she knows that, they were trying to protect her, but that is not what she needed in this moment. She needed the truth, she needed the honesty. And I'm glad that she called them all out on it because let's face it, it made her character the weakest character on this show. So I liked all the conversations that she had with Barry. I like that by the end of it, she still says, well, I really like the scene when, the whole Gorilla Grodd thing happens in the subway tunnel, and she jumps in and she pretty much says, Barry, you can do this. Listen to my voice. Pay attention to me. Do this for me. Like, she knows how Barry feels about her. She ultimately feels the same way about him, but she's in a different situation right now because she's with Eddie and she doesn't want to dishonor him in any way, right? And that's only the right thing to do. But even when she's talking to her father, she says, Eddie wouldn't be in this situation if I only knew the truth. And she says to her dad, you knew the whole time that Barry liked me, but you didn't say anything. And if I had known, then maybe Eddie wouldn't be here. And he's like, why would you have dated Barry? And it's like, well, that's not the point. At least I wouldn't have gone into a relationship that, if I knew the truth, and then I would have sort of been able to get in touch with my own feelings. So all the stuff that went down with Iris in this episode was actually like, I was like, thank you, thank God. It was a breath of fresh air because she has been so stifled on this show. She hasn't been able to really stretch her range. To me personally, I haven't found that. And at least in this episode, we got some emotion out of her. We got, a fighting spirit out of her. We got her to be intimate with Barry, like in scenes. Everything just worked. And I like that, even Barry called her out with the truth that he told her at Christmas time, and that he didn't really believe that it was just black and white. And just him even saying at the end that just because you didn't know the truth and you weren't there, you were there. You've always been there with me through this whole entire journey, even if you didn't know the truth. So everything that went through, with Iris in this episode, I felt worked. There were some moments where she was, disappointed, angry, and those were all equally deserved in that moment. And I'm glad that the show didn't just continue to harp on it. And I like at the end, Caitlin says, when Barry says, oh, the three of us were able to do this without Dr. Wells, and she goes, actually, it was the four of us, because yeah, you have to include Iris in that because she was very instrumental in helping out Barry at the end there when he was stuck on the train track and Gorilla Grodd was manipulating his mind. So Iris became part of the team, and I'm glad that she was able to do that, and that hopefully they will be able to implement her into this and have her be part of this gang. And even the conversation she had with her father at the end, where he says, my life really began when you were born, and I have to realize that I can't protect you this way. I have to be honest with you. And she says, I just love me enough to be honest with me and tell me the truth. And it's like, okay, hopefully they can move forward from here. There's no animosity, there's no anger, and we can just have her be part of the team. And that will just make her character, I think personally, much stronger on this series. So now we had, obviously, Gorilla Grodd was in this episode big time because he took over the body of Eiling, like he took over his mind, and Eiling was trying to rob all these, rob like the gold mine at the beginning of the episode, and then they captured him and they locked him up in the stars, police, police, into the stars jail that they have down there. And that's when they realized that he was basically being mind controlled by Gorilla Grodd. And so when they finally, they meaning Joe and Barry, come face to face with Gorilla Grodd, they act like it was actually kind of cool because he was like bigger, larger than life. I mean, we've seen him before, but we haven't really seen him to this full extent. And when Gorilla Grodd takes Joe, he's having a conversation with him, and you get that he calls Dr. Wells father, and we basically get the understanding of how he became who he is, and that Dr. Wells was pretty much using him as a way to distract the rest of them, because Dr. Wells has Eddie, and he's telling him about his history and all this kind of stuff. And then at the end, he has this tube, and he's basically like, I have the key, and he takes it, and he's like, we're going home. So it'll be interesting to see what that actually means and how Eddie plays into this. And now Dr. Wells obviously tells Eddie that he doesn't get the girl in the end, and he shows him the picture of the news article with Barry when Barry goes missing, and you see the byline where it has Iris's name there, and it has her last name with Barry's last name. So obviously he sees in black and white that Iris does not choose him. So is this going to be what ultimately turns Eddie into a bad guy? I don't know. It'll be interesting to find out. But all the stuff that happened in the sewer with Gorilla Grodd was really cool with Joe. And, at the scene where Joe has the gun, and Gorilla Grodd basically makes it and turn it on himself, and he's like, help, help, help me. And then he's like, pulls the trigger. That was all really cool and very intense. I mean, I personally didn't think that he was going to kill him, like he was going to have him kill himself. But it was very intense nonetheless. And then, when he pulls out the banana, when Joe pulls out the banana, and then Gorilla Grodd's like, I don't like bananas, or Gorilla Grodd doesn't like bananas, or whatever he said. It was just hilarious. I was like, this is just jokes. So I thought that was really funny. But yeah, it was a very good episode. Caitlin and Cisco provided some good comic relief here and there, but really this episode was all about Iris and Barry, and the fact that the truth came out, and he had to reveal his true self to her, and this isn't the way he wanted it to be revealed. And I think that the episode played itself out well, and we ultimately got a little bit of like not resolved, but you got to feel that Barry and Iris grew closer in this scene. And even in the end, when she says, I can't do that to Eddie, and then he says, like, basically once he comes back, and then Barry's like, what happens after that? What happens after Eddie comes back? And she's like, I don't know. So obviously it's going to be very open-ended. So we'll see what happens. Okay, guys, let me know what you thought of this week's episode. Lots of good stuff went down. I thought the animation with Gorilla Grodd was well done. I thought all the graphics and special effects there was well done. Of course, Joe sold how terrified he was. I thought that was all really well done. Eddie and Dr. Wells scenes were well done as well. And I like how Dr. Wells is playing this up, and how evil, like he's playing it more now. So I thought all that worked really well. And I'm excited to see what happens. I think with only 2 episodes left in the series, so or in the season. So okay, guys, that's it for me. Let me sign off, and you guys leave a comment, like, subscribe, and I'll definitely see you next week. Bye, guys.